Hello students, welcome to online classes of Geography of Class 10. This is the sixth class of your chapter number 4, Agriculture. Now the topics that I'm going to discuss today is related to the characteristics of the Indian agriculture, need of reforms, technological reforms, institutional reforms, and lastly, Bhudan Gramdan movement. Now let us proceed with the first topic, characteristics of Indian agriculture. Now we have already discussed about so many types of farming in the previous classes. So from there, what do you think? If we are there to just characterize what is the basic features of our Indian agriculture, so what the features will be? Number one, basically most of the agriculture depends on monsoon, that is monsoonal rainfall. Next, the farming type is mainly for our own consumption because of large population, so subsistent nature of farming. Now, our country is basically 60% of, or we can say 50 40, 50 or 60-40 ratio of rural and urban nature. So, most of the population engaged in agricultural activities comes from the rural background. So, traditional methods of farming is there. Poor farmers because of rural background and the size of the land holdings are small. Why? Because India is the second populous country, so the land for the agricultural plot is limited. Next, we are having a lack of mechanization, and as there is lack of mechanization, so most of the farm work is based upon the animal operations and emphasis on the production of food crops. Now, as we have to fulfill a huge demand, so we cannot concentrate on other plantation crops or the cash crops. So, our main emphasis is there on the production of the food crops. So, these are basically the characteristics of Indian agriculture. So, what is the next step? The next is we have to change our status of Indian agriculture. So for that there is a need of reforms. So why there is a need to introduce the reforms for enhancing our Indian agriculture? So the reasons are because nearly 50 to 60% of our population, they earn their livelihood from agriculture. Next, to achieve self sufficiency in food grains. Why? Because we have to support a large population. Next, to reduce dependence on the foreign markets as our demand is more. So we have to get the things from the foreign market. That means our that is draining of the resources, financial resources are there. So that means we have to depend on the foreign market. So we have to reduce that dependency to feed our ever increasing population. Now, to raise area under cash crop, I said the emphasis is there on the food crops, but now we have to increase the area under the cash crop. Why? We have to compete in the international market. So, thus, we have to increase the area under the cash crop. And there are many industry that gets their raw material from the agriculture. So, we have to encourage simultaneously the growth of agro-based industry. And when we have to encourage the growth of agro-based industry, that means we have to generate employment opportunities not only in the industrial aspect but also in the agricultural work too. And we are having the natures supplying all the resources, that is resource of land and soil. So we have to optimize the resource utilization to its full level. So these are the reasons why there is a need to introduce the reforms. So just for the development of agriculture, the two reforms that was introduced was technological reforms and institutional reforms. So first we are going to proceed with the technological reforms, which was introduced in the year 1960s with a strategy of green revolution. Now, what was the basic way to introduce the revolution? Using of high yielding variety seeds, using of chemical fertilizers and manures, because these high yielding variety seeds needs huge amount of fertilizers for their growth, Timely spray of pesticides is needed to protect the crops from any sort of failure. These high-yielding variety seeds require huge amount of moisture, and as our country's agriculture basically depends upon monsoon, so we have to expand our irrigational facilities when we are adapting the green revolution strategy, that is high-yielding variety seed cultivation. Mechanization is very much needed to upgrade the production and to upgrade the level of quality of produce. Next, this was related to the food crops. Not only this, White Revolution or Operation Flood was launched out in the year 1970s to make our country self-reliant in terms of dairy products or milk production. Not only this, we also got a revolution in the year 1986-87 termed as Yellow Revolution, where basically the production of edible oil, and that is mainly related to that groundnut and mustard oil, that has increased. That is Yellow Revolution. There are many revolution in this respect, like Blue Revolution, Pink Revolution, Brown Revolution. Gradually, the recent development is the Rainbow Revolution. Now, why it is termed as Rainbow Revolution? Because it is not only related to the crops, specified crops or a type of product. It is related to overall development of the agricultural aspect that needs infrastructure, that needs technology, that needs facilities of irrigation, all the aspect. It needs the animal husbandry also. That means whatever it is connected with the agriculture, overall development is included in the recent development of the technological reform, that is Rainbow Revolution. So these are the reforms that is there under the category of technological reforms. Now next we will proceed to the institutional reforms. Now in the year 1980s, the institutional reforms were introduced. Now what was the main objective? To raise the crop production, to protect the that is the well-being of the farmers, and also to do the comprehensive land development. The land development should be in a comprehensive manner, in a that is a altogether way, not in a partial or a patch-wise manner. Now, what were the steps that were there to introduce the reform? Now, we have already studied about zamindari system. Then a right of inheritance has continuously that is split up the landholdings, fragmented the landholdings, and the zamindars are having a vast stretch of the land for their own benefit. So the reform introduced abolition of the zamindari system. The fragmented landholding started consolidated. That means consolidation of the landholdings, and ceiling on landholding. That means it was fixed that beyond this you cannot extend out your size of the landholding. So ceiling on landholdings. This was related to the land reforms. Second, for the provision of the crop insurance against natural calamities like droughts, floods, or any sort of disease or crop failure, government introduced two schemes, KCC and PAIS, that is Kisan Credit Card and Personal Accident Insurance Scheme. These two schemes were introduced by the government for their that is for the insurance purpose. Next, the next institutional reforms, establishment of the Grameen Bank, cooperative banks. Why? Because farmers want to get their capital for the agricultural work, or they need some help so that they can get it at a low interest because they are poor farmers. Then next, the government declares minimum support price MSP to protect farmers from contractors, middlemen and speculators. That contractors, middlemen and speculator, they continuously just bullying the poor farmers, and they are getting it at a very low price and selling it at a high price in the market. So government has fixed a minimum support price. Next, it is special weather bulletins and agricultural programs on radio and television is continuously being broadcasted, or for so that the farmers can get the benefit, and on that basis they can do the work of agriculture. Government organizes crop competition, agricultural fairs, so that farmers get aware about that what are the change techniques, what are the changes that they are that is being introduced, what are the new methods, and they are getting much more aware about the new techniques and the changes that is upcoming, so that they can improve their pattern of development of that is agricultural development. So these were the institutional reforms, and with the help of these technological reforms and institutional reform, continuously our government is that is the agricultural aspect is increasing, or it is continuously developing. Now the last topic of the discussion is Bhudan and Gramdan. Now it is a movement basically initiated in the year 1951 by Vinoba Bhave, and this was also termed as land gift movement. That means to the poor villagers, to the landless farmers, the land used to be lent, or the villages used to be lent by the zamindars. Now when Vinoba Bhave was delivering a lecture at Pochampalli in Telangana, at present it is in Telangana, in that time it was in Andhra Pradesh. Some landless villagers, they demanded for lands because they were unable to fulfill their or to earn their livelihood or fulfill their basic needs. So he made a condition before the farmers that he will lend the land or he will gift the land, but there was a condition that they has to follow a cooperative farming. Cooperative farming means all the poor farmers, they are having some aspects of farming, like some are having some small primitive tools, some are having a patch of land, maybe some are having some sort of well or tube well for as a irrigational. So if all of these farmers, they pool out, not POOL, not PULL, pool out all their basic resources, and then they club their resources and proceed with the farming, this is considered as a cooperative farming. So in this, Sri Ramachandra Reddy took the initiative to lend 80 acres of land to landless people, and this act is known as Bhudan or land gift movement. Now zamindars also, they they distributed villages. Why? Because in fear of sealing of land holdings that is being introduced in the reforms, so they landed or distributed some villages among the poor villagers, and this act came to be known as Gramdan. Now you can see it's a revolution. It is a revolution. So this revolution was in favor of poor farmers. Now when we use the word revolution, obviously it comes in our mind that there is a war. Obviously it is a war where there is no shedding of the blood, but it is a war between poor farmers and the zamindars, which was helped by some renowned people, that is Vinoba Bhave, Acharya Vinoba Bhave, and then Sri Ramachandra Reddy. So this revolution was named as Bloodless Revolution, and due to this revolution, poor farmers were literally benefited when they get they were gifted gifted with the lands, or they were distributed by some villages. So today I have discussed about all these aspects of the reforms, and just keep all the notes in your copy in this order. I'm not proceeding with any of the questions. Let me complete the chapter, and then I'm going to proceed with the exercise questions followed with the board questions. If you're having any doubts for today's lesson, please mention it in the comment section, and thank you for following today's class. Have a nice day.